let you reveal me like a shining little pebble. River, river, I am yours.
Thank you very much for coming to our launch today. The Water Northern Rivers Alliance, Smart Water Options, No Dunoon Dam. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Annie Kia, who is a spokesperson for Water Northern Rivers.
Thank you everyone for coming. What a great occasion. This is really, and first of all I would like to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people of the Bundjalung Nation and all peoples of the Bundjalung Nation in our region. This is really an exciting moment, our launch of Water Northern Rivers. And apparently at this point I'm meant to unveil How good is it to be amongst creative and generous people who care about our communities, who care about our heritage, and who engage deeply with the kind of water systems that we can have at this moment in history. It seems like in just a few weeks that we've organised a campaign to stop a destructive dam, but we've gone beyond that, and you can see that from our name. We're launching an organisation, an alliance of citizens and groups who want smart water options in our region and a water system that's fit for the 21st century. Water experts agree this is where we should be going. And we're really encouraged by what's been happening recently. There's a recent publication called All Options on the Table from Water Services Association of Australia. These are Australia's water experts, and they are saying that new dams are not the way to go for water resilience in a region. And the reason is because we need a suite of smart water options. We need to have a portfolio of options that complement each other. And in that range of options that we have in our region, we need some that are rain dependent, and we have one of those. It's called Rocky Creek Dam. And we need to, if we introduce new supply, we need to introduce new supply that is not dependent on rainfall. It makes sense, doesn't it? So the kinds of new supply that are not dependent on rainfall are reusing water, recycling water. We can't throw water away anymore. It's precious. So we can reuse water. It's been done in many parts of the world. It's been done in Perth. It's entirely doable. And we can do desalination, which is clearly not rainfall dependent. We can do so many things with harvesting water off rooftops, off stormwater runoff. There's a host of things that we can do, and they're all outlined in this fantastic document, which I encourage everyone to read. So the water experts agree this is where we should be going. First of all, we have Professor Stuart White, who wrote this document, the RAV's Sustainable Water Program towards a secure, reliable and affordable water future. And Professor White is saying we can, through water efficiency and investment in system-wide water efficiency, we can make a huge difference to achieve supply-demand balance in our region. And using this approach, Sydney Water added 1 million people to their population without any increase in water use. How good is that? We can do this. We strongly urge Rouse to make this investment. This type of work was not analysed or costed in the Future Water 2060 Rouse plan. So that sort of work involves an audit of every part of the water system, every council long part, every facility, every school, every TAFE institution, and in those places every faucet, every appliance, every behaviour and policy. And then after that comes the great big fix-it job, which involves fixing all of those things to achieve efficiency. And clearly the big fix-it job involves jobs. Lots of jobs. Trade jobs. Upskilling of trades. Support for small to medium enterprise, because it involves getting the things we need to make the system efficient. So first of all, we need to do that. But then we had the Productivity Commission just recently come out with a green paper that said we need to have all options on the table. We need to think smart about water. And then we've more recently had this document, which I showed to you, which is called All Options on the Table. They're saying water efficiency, a suite of options, new water sources that are independent of rainfall, dams do not provide resilience, they are high-risk investments, they say. In fact, I'm going to read something that they said here. They said, to optimise the use and investment in a diverse portfolio of water supply sources, we need multiple rainfall-dependent and independent sources to balance security, cost and other constraints. So they're saying we need a multiple options approach, roll them all together, and we have to be smart about it. So we are at a crossroads, because on the one hand we have the Dunedin Dam, which was first mooted a long time ago. And the Dunedin Dam, the proposal for that dam, it is a destructive dam. It would flood and destroy and obliterate Aboriginal heritage that is incredibly important. In fact, it's so important that that's why the dam was knocked back before. It's unacceptable to do that to Aboriginal heritage. After everything that Wajipawayable people have experienced and endured, it is absolutely unacceptable that we would destroy important Aboriginal heritage. There goes the logo. The other thing about the dam is, we only have 1% of the big scrub rainforest left. That's it, 1%. A biodiversity wonderland with lineages stretching back to the Gondwana times. Just 1% left, and the Dunedin Dam would flood important parts of that 1%. And in an age of extinctions, we can't do that. We can't have that on our record. That's not a water system to be proud of. That would be a water system to be ashamed of, when we have so many different options available to us now. So on the one hand, we could go that route of last century's dam, or we could do what all these water experts are saying, and we can go this route to grasp, to seize the opportunities that we have in this moment, to get a water system that we can be proud of, that's fit for the 21st century. I think you know what people in this room want. It's a no-brainer. So we have named ourselves Water Northern Rivers because we want that for our region. We want Rouse County Council to change direction, to reorient our water system to the current century, because the Dunedin Dam belongs in last century. We're finished with that way of doing water. We're in a new place now. So we want Rouse County Council to seize these opportunities to choose smart water options, and we want them to do that so that we can be with them every millimetre of the way. And we think we would be a tremendous asset to a water authority that reorients itself to smart water systems. We want a partnership with Rouse County Council. That's what we want.
were going to have drone footage of the gorge showing, and due to technical issues, we were unable to screen that today, but we will be making it available on our YouTube channel. And if you access the, what's the Facebook page called, Terry? The No Dam info page. So from there you can collect information, including the link to our YouTube channel. So what I'd like you to do is to picture a beautiful rainforest with wonderful sandstone escarpment and beautiful trees reaching up into the sunlight and amazing waterfalls through it, and hearing the bird calls and the scuttling of lizards and marsupials and the chorus of frogs. And as you're doing that, I'm going to invite Anne Nicholson, botanist, to come and speak about the Tannin Gorge.
I was wondering where that was going. I'm a trusty old botanist. I've been looking after nature for a long time. And I was going to have a retirement and stop doing this, but this dam came up. And I really felt strongly, this is just a line in the sand. I cannot leave this to go ahead. And out of the initial opposition to the dam has grown this wonderful movement of water northern rivers. So that will change the culture of what happens with water in this area, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we can stop even thinking about stupid things like dams. But we still need to remember why this dam must not go ahead in the particular place it is, although I'm against all dams. One is this 1% of the big scrub rainforest that other people have mentioned. But you really need to think about that. We had nearly 1 million hectares that shrank to 1% in about 30 years. And now we've got 6% of that 1% in this area where the dam is proposed. So I personally think this is a line in the sand. You cannot take another single tree of that big scrub. And the same goes for koalas. Actually, before I go on to koalas, I'll mention the gorge. The gorge is really interesting because it's sandstone in the middle of all this volcanic rock, which is relatively recent. The volcanic rock is about 50 years old. The sandstone is much, much older than that. There's been this gorge growing this exceptionally rare type of rainforest. It's warm temperate rainforest, which grows on the rhyolite up in the hills, but not on sandstone because we have so little in this area. So it's a very rare type. And as well as that, it's never been cleared. If you look at the 1942 air photos of the area, the district, you can see there's not a tree. It's like a baby's bum, except for this gorge and the surrounding forest. So it's been left alone, and because of that, we have these exceptionally rare Gystaniopsis lorina, water gums in the gorge, which are about 1.5 meters in diameter, which is bigger than any of the other recorded water gums in New South Wales. We're still trying to find any others, but it seems to be that they're the biggest. So for that alone, you would leave this place alone and not touch it. But I'll get on to koalas. There's another reason. We know that 71% of the koalas cooked in the last year. That's another line in the sand. Surely not another koala can be threatened. No other trees that koalas need can be threatened. And a lot of their habitat in this dam proposal is tallowood, which is their prime feed tree. That will go, plus it will cut the koala corridors, the movement corridors. So this is going to directly threaten these animals. We need to be doing something about this. And the other reason that I think we need to draw a line in the sand is the Widjabul Waiable elders that we've been talking with lately are also saying, this is enough, this has to stop. And I'd like to read out something that Uncle Roy Gordon texted to me the other day when I showed him a picture of the gorge. So there's a picture of this over there, which I'll have to do instead of the video. There's this beautiful shot taken by balloons aloft in Byron. They did a balloon takeoff from the Channel Oval, took a picture of the gorge, this beautiful gorge and the range behind. I showed it to Roy Gordon, and he sent me this text on my phone, which I'll read out to you. He says, we need to keep and protect these places for future generations, for these places are our living heritage. These places are our connection to our ancestry and our ancestral understanding that our relationship is the very environment that holds our people together. These places are learning grounds for future generations. To destroy the living environment that sustained our lives is to destroy the lives of people and children and community. We will never accept this. And I think that's what we need to carry forward with us, these words of Uncle Roy, because we cannot accept this either. Thank you.
Councillor Jack Johnson to come and speak to Smart Water Options.
Thanks, Bianca, and thank you everyone to be here. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to share the stage with Annie and Dan, true champions of our community. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of our land, elders past, present and emerging. And also, if anyone doesn't know, we've got one of the immaculately preserved water rings, probably about 300 metres that way, on Gibbon Street, which is really gives some idea of what this area would have been like before all the concrete development. So Rouse Water's Future Water Strategy 2060. All Ballina Shire councillors had the opportunity to be briefed by Rouse a couple of months ago, where they really laid out that the dam was the only option, the most affordable option, and the best option to secure our water supply, which we all know that that's not the case. They revealed that over projected 60 to 80 lifespan of the dam, it would cost over $650 million in today's dollars terms. So I think we all agree that that would increase dramatically over that lifespan. So all water users in our region would have to pay for that through increased rates and water charges. Rouse Water currently supplies water to the local government areas of Ballina, Lismore, Byron and Richmond Valley. If the Dunoon Dam went ahead, Rouse estimates that rates and charges would have to increase by more than 400%. This is on the top of already significant rate increases over the last 10 years. On average, in our region, we use about 160 litres per person of water, of which about 2.5 litres of water actually is consumed for drinking water. That's less than 2%. The rest gets flushed down the toilet, shower, used to water gardens, wash down driveways and used by industry. The concept of building a massive new dam just to flush water down the toilet and into the creeks, rivers and ultimately our ocean clearly isn't the best way forward, particularly given less than 2% is actually used for drinking. Secondly, all major new subdivisions in the Ballina Shire will have the purple pipe, which is the recycled water option. The majority of the predicted growth is predicted in the Ballina Shire, so the vast majority of these new houses and subdivisions will have that recycled water pipe available. I'm quite proud that Ballina Council is really leading the way with recycled water in our area. Council resolved to do that about 10 years ago, and I'm pushing for that to be expanded into industrial estates and new areas so that even more water gets recycled and we can look to close the loop. Investing all our resources into the proposed dam when there is such a range of alternative strategies that need further investigation is foolish. A suite of options that encourage greater water use efficiency and reuse can provide even greater long-term security for our water. For example, currently about 15 to 20% of the Rouse supply gets wasted through leaking pipes. More investment in stopping those leaks alone could probably secure predicted demand over the next 50 years. As I said, greater use of the purple pipe infrastructure expanded through the other areas and major subdivisions and retrofitted to industrial estates is a must. Rainwater tanks. need to increase the rebates and make them more accessible. I received an email a few months ago once the new dam proposal was getting a bit of media from a local resident, and I'll just read what he sent me just to highlight how the rebates and the regulatory system to get that rainwater tanks should be made a lot easier so that it would encourage a lot more tanks. 4 years ago, shortly after moving in, we installed a 10,000 litre rainwater tank so that the rainwater that lands on our roof doesn't just get wasted into the stormwater system. We received a rebate from Rouse Water and Balma Council approved the connection to our entire house. We have multiple systems in place to make sure the water is as clean as possible before it enters the tank, including first flush diverters on every downpipe. We also have multiple filters in place after the tank going to micro level to make sure the water is safe to drink. We follow the recommendations by New South Wales Health. With normal rainfall, we only use water from our tank. We don't use any town water. That includes watering our large garden. During the drought in 2019, our tank was empty for long periods, so we decided to increase our capacity. Earlier this year, last year, we made an application to Balma Council to add an additional tank. Based on our calculations, this would enable us to remain on rainwater throughout a drought like the one we recently experienced. Unfortunately, Rouse Water doesn't provide any further rebates beyond 10,000 litres. Balma Council also doesn't treat this as an exempt development, so we had to make a compliant development application that comes with a significant fee. The Balma Council staff member visited our proposed site and made it clear that he objects to people using rainwater for drinking. He pointed us to New South Wales health guidelines that people should, but must not, doesn't need to follow, use town water where available. Even after noticing the various systems we had in place to filter and clean water and admitted that our water would be safe to drink, he continued to object to our proposal. Many months went by with no approval on our application. That is despite Balma Council having already approved our house connection in 2016, which has not been changed. We're just trying to add further storage capacity. We recently received another Section 68 certificate in addition to the one we already received in 2016. As of today, we are still waiting for the complying development certificate required to install the additional tank. When I look around houses in our area, I see many houses that don't have rainwater tanks despite people living in this area being generally environmentally conscious. With Rouse Water only providing a rebate for the first 10,000 litres, that covers some of the cost, and with Balma Council requiring a lengthy and costly process to install a tank beyond 10,000 litres to have it connected to the house, I can see why. So this just highlights one area where we can greatly increase rainwater tank storage and reduce dependence on the dams. It also highlights our predicted population increase doesn't automatically mean we need a new dam and additional mass storage to have security in times of drought. Furthermore, the New South Wales Government is currently undertaking its own review of the water needs for our region, including domestic, agricultural and commercial usage. Rouse Water study only looks at urban water usage and supply. Surely we need to wait, at the very least, for the state government's review to be tabled and have that information together with Rouse's information and other studies to be looked at in a holistic approach rather than just going straight at the dam proposal and be promoting that as the only option to provide water security. We're fortunate in the Northern Rivers, given our high rainfall. In the recent drought, one of the worst on record, our region was the least affected. In fact, our dam didn't even get below 60%. I believe it's going to be a big ask to convince the state and federal governments to provide millions in funding for a dam in the Northern Rivers, when so many other regional centres have much less water security than us. I don't think the case has been justified to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a new dam at Dunedin. And ratepayers will face huge increases in the costs to pay for something that may only, even with current storage and usage, be needed during droughts, so a fraction of that water will be there to be used. And there are so many other options to secure our water, as I've outlined, as Andy has outlined, and that are further outlined in the reports. Thank you all for coming here. It's great to see so many familiar faces. And I think together, with the signs and the reports, I think we can knock this on the head and move forward to a much more sustainable water security in the future.
The rainforest calls again. Can you hear her call? The creeks are talking again. Can you hear their talk? It's a time like CST in Bentley. Have you seen them with the poster? And you see the signs say thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Eyes wide open and ears listening. A community murmur is waking again. It's time to stand for our valleys, to speak for the creek, to be the voice that says thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Eyes wide open and ears listening. A community murmur is waking again. It says thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. One more time. Thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Thanks but no thanks to another dam. Yes, oh yes to alternatives. Very singing. Good night. Okay,